Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're jumping into the pretty unpredictable world of digital assets. And, sometimes the most, well, unexpected parts of the market. That's where the really fascinating stuff happens. So, our focus for this deep dive is what people are calling meme coin mania.
Hmm.
Yeah, our mission today is basically to unpack all the recent buzz around meme coins. We're going to look at some exciting newcomers, making a splash, but also see how the more established ones are doing. We've gathered info from, well, a few different sources, trying to give you, the listener, a good sense of what's actually driving the attention here.
It's a really compelling area, I think, because meme coins, they kind of sit at this weird intersection, don't they?
Yeah.
Culture, community, and just raw speculation, really. It shows how fast perceived value can just appear. Sometimes it is just hype, pure and simple, but other times, there might be a project behind it or some specific catalyst. It's usually a mix.
Absolutely, a real mix. And speaking of fascinating, we've got a few key stories lined up for you. First off, we'll dig into Token 6900, T6900. It's brand new, but apparently gaining a lot of traction in its presale. Heard it pulled in something like, what, over $800, maybe 900Ks in just 2 days. Wow, they're sort of positioning it as the next SPX 6900. But look, it's clearly leaning into that high risk, high reward vibe, pure meme culture. It says right there, no roadmap, no utility. It's got a $5 million hard cap for the presale, planning to list around $0.0071. Very specific. Then we'll shift gears a bit. We'll look at PENGU, that's the Pudgy Penguins token, and its surge has been, well, pretty astonishing. We're talking like 26.7% gain in just 24 hours. And get this, over 310% month over month. The trading volume hit, I think, $2 billion in
Oh,
one day.
2 billion, yeah. That's huge.
Just incredible. And the big trigger seems to be Binance removing its seed tag. We'll get into what that means. And finally, just to give it all some context, right, we'll look at the bigger picture, the whole meme coin market, and how the top dogs like PEPE, PPP, BONK, BONK, Dogecoin, DOGE, how they're holding up.
Still performing consistently.
Yeah, exactly. They've all seen recent gains. PTE up about 3.4% in a day, nearly 15% in a week. BONK, similar story, about 3.5% daily, over 21% weekly. And DOGE, the original, up over 4% in 24 hours, and a really strong 40% over the week.
That weekly DOGE number is quite something.
It really is. Now, the total market cap for all meme coins is around $89 billion, up slightly, like 0.3% in the last day. But it seems like the tokens with the strong stories, like PNU or these pre-sales driven by, human excitement, like T6900, they're the ones grabbing the spotlight.
Okay, so let's start with that token 6900. This whole no roadmap, no utility approach, raising nearly $1 million in 2 days. I mean, what does that tell us about the appetite for just pure speculation right now?
Well, it tells us it's still very much alive and kicking, doesn't it? It really highlights that end of the spectrum where value is almost just a collective agreement, a shared belief.
Like a bet on a joke, almost. Exactly. It shows there's a real hunger for those moonshots. The ones driven purely by social buzz, by community excitement, not by, like, traditional things like a product or a business plan. It's kind of a fascinating test, really. How much value can sheer belief generate in this space?
That's a really interesting way to frame it. Okay, let's move to PNG then, that Binance seed tag removal. You mentioned it was a huge factor. For listeners who maybe aren't, deep in exchange jargon, what exactly is a seed tag, and why would taking it off suddenly boost PNG and investor trust so much?
Right, good question, because it's pretty crucial here. A seed tag is basically, think of it like a warning label. Binance puts it on newer projects, ones they consider higher risk,
Right.
just to let users know, hey, this could be volatile.
Okay, like a heads up.
Exactly. So removing it, that's a big signal from a major player like Binance. It's almost like saying, okay, we think this is graduated. It's less risky now. It's a kind of institutional nod, you could say.
Ah, I see. So it's not just about the coin itself, but the exchange's view of it.
Precisely. And that often leads to way more liquidity. Why? Because more sophisticated traders, maybe even trading algorithms, they suddenly feel more comfortable getting involved. The perceived risk drops. What people often miss with these massive surges is just how much money is sitting there waiting for any kind of positive signal.
Right, dormant capital.
Yeah. So the seed tag removal wasn't just about warm fuzzies and trust. It was like flicking a switch that let a ton of that waiting capital flood in. That's where that $2 billion volume comes from.
Wow, okay. That puts a different spin on it. It's market mechanics as much as hype. I saw one source mention community sentiment too. Someone saying, I admire PENGU on God, not your average meme coin. Which kind of captures that shift, doesn't it? From just a meme to something more.
It does, yeah. It signals that people are starting to see it or want to see it as having moved beyond that initial super speculative phase. And getting that validation from Binance, taking the tag off, it adds this layer of perceived stability. Sets it apart maybe from the purely fleeting meme tokens.
So, okay. We've got these established guys, PEPE, BONK, DOGE, still chugging along, putting up decent numbers. And then you have these, like, hyper-growth newcomers like T6900 and suddenly validated coins like PNG exploding. What does this mix tell us about the meme coin market right now? Is it maturing or just layered?
That's a good way to put it. Layered. I think it shows this interesting split, really. On one side, you've got the power of like brand recognition, established communities. Dogecoin is the prime example. It's more than just a meme now, right? It shows that steady, sometimes slower, but consistent growth.
Right, the OGs.
Exactly. Then on the other side, you have things like T6900 grabbing attention because they're new, because of that thrill, that fresh moonshot potential.
And their novelty.
Pure novelty, pure speculation. And PNU. It's kind of sitting in the middle now, isn't it? It had an existing NFT community, which helps, but then it got that big external boost from Binance. So yeah, it's not one single market dynamic. It's like a whole spectrum of risk appetite and what people see as value. It shows that novelty draws eyes, sure, but established names and these institutional signals, they still matter a lot. It's almost like throwing darts. Some darts have the weight of history, some have pure potential energy, and some just caught a lucky gust of wind.
That's a great analogy. Okay, so we've taken quite the deep dive here into meme coin mania. It's fascinating, sometimes baffling stuff. We've seen what drives the value, or at least the attention, right? Whether it's pure hype or strong community stories or these big liquidity boosts.
Exactly. And I think the key thing for you listening is to see how value works differently here. You've got the raw belief powering pre-sales like TOKEN6900. You've got exchange actions massively impacting tokens like PENGU, giving them a kind of legitimacy. And then you still have the steady climbers, the established coins, moving on their own narratives. It really hammers home how much shared stories and, well, conviction can move these markets, sometimes much more than any real utility.
It definitely makes you think, what does this whole pattern, this rise in attention, what does it tell you about market sentiment, about the power communities have now, digitally? And just how unpredictable these assets can be. It really covers that whole range, doesn't it? From total speculation to growth that seems to have some kind of narrative behind it.
And maybe that leaves us with a bigger question to chew on, right? Given that some of these tokens, like T6900, explicitly say they have no utility, no roadmap, what does their performance, whether it's sustained or just explosive, actually imply about how we define value now in this digital age? How much of it really just boils down to shared belief, collective attention, instead of, profit and loss statements? It's fundamental.
A really profound thought to mull over as you continue exploring on your own. Thank you for joining us for this deep dive. We hope you enjoyed digging into the fascinating world of information with us today.